Is your local business or organization looking to give back to the community? Help keep our roads clean by joining the Adopt a Road program administered by Keep Tampa Bay Beautiful. Keeping our roads clean is a great way for team building as well as exposure for your business. Select the road your business wants to adopt and dispatch a team to remove litter and debris. Participants will receive 2 signs showing their organization's name as well as safety equipment and instructions for cleaning roads. You can help keep Tampa Bay beautiful by adopting your own road today. To learn more, visit hcfl.gov/cleanhc.
morning. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. Good morning, everyone. I want to welcome you to the January 21st, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. My name is Susan Finch, and I will be presiding as the hearing officer over today's cases. Let me start by introducing Ms. Colleen Marshall. She's with the Development Services Department, and she will introduce other staff members as well as go over any changes we have to today's agenda. Ms. Marshall.
Good morning. Colleen Marshall, Development Services. To my right is Carmen Mason, Development Services staff. To my left is Mary Dorman of the Hillsborough County County Attorney's Office. During the course of the hearing, a number of other planners will be presenting their findings for various cases and will be introduced for each item. No changes to the published agenda. We do have some continuances and withdrawals today. It looks like there's a typo in the agenda, but item I1 under A, special use 240828, the applicant is APC Towers 4 LLC. This application is being continued by the applicant to the February 24th, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. Item A1, variance 241128, the applicant is Rolando Santiago. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the February 24th, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. Item A2, special use 241238. The applicant is Todd Pressman. This application is being continued by the applicant to the February 24th, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. Item A3, special use 241335. The applicant is David Wright with TSP Companies Incorporated. This application is out of order to be heard and is being continued to the February 24th, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. Item I2, special use 250107. The applicant is PRP Wine International Incorporated. This application is being continued by the applicant to the February 24th, 2025 Land Use Hearing Officer hearing. And item A4, special use 250224. The applicant is Vel Services LLC. This application was withdrawn by the petitioner. This concludes the continuances and withdrawals.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let me start by going over our procedures for today's hearing. Our hearing today consists of agenda items that require a public hearing by a land use hearing officer. I'll conduct a hearing on each agenda item and will file a decision following 15 business days following today's hearing. Our hearing will be informal. I'll ask questions related to the scope of direct testimony. I may call and question witnesses as I deem appropriate, and all testimony must be under oath. Evidence may be presented in written form. Hearsay evidence may be used to supplement or explain other evidence, but shall not be sufficient alone to support a finding by me unless it be admissible over objections in a civil action. Our order of presentation today is as follows. You'll note the beginning of our agenda, the majority of our agenda are variances. And for that order, the Development Services staff, Ms. Marshall, and also the staff planner assigned to the case has 5 minutes to present the county's findings. Then the applicant will go. The applicant has 15 minutes to present their request. Then I'll call proponents, anyone who would like to speak in favor of an application. Total time 15 minutes. The same is true when we go next to opponents, anyone that would like to speak against an application. Everyone combined 15 minutes. We'll then go back to Development Services for 5 minutes to see if they have any comments or changes based on today's testimony. And then finally, the applicant has the last word with 5 minutes for rebuttal to address any items they'd like. The last two agenda items are special uses. The only change in that presentation is in special uses, the applicant goes first. So in variances, the staff goes first, and the special uses at the end, the applicant goes first. That's it. All right, I don't think we'll have this issue, but if there are a number of people that would like to speak either in favor or against an application, I'll just ask for a show of hands, and we will divide that 15 minutes as equally as possible to make sure everybody has their chance. If you are going to speak, if you are in the room, or also we have people participating virtually, start by giving me your name and address for the record. We are recording this hearing, and we want to make sure we have everybody's information correct. If you are in the room and you're done, if you could see Michael, he's at the end of the dais. He's with the clerk's office. He's keeping a written log of those that speak. And so if you could also then sign in with your name, address, and the case number to which you spoke. Let me ask Ms. Dorman now of the County Attorney's Office to provide you the legal requirements for appealing a decision made by a land use hearing officer. Ms. Dorman.
Good morning, Mary Dorman from the County Attorney's Office. This land use hearing officer public hearing is for variance and special use requests. This is the time for interested parties to present evidence and testimony. Once the land use hearing officer has closed a case, the record of that case is also closed, and no new evidence regarding that case may be submitted thereafter. Any decision by the land use hearing officer may be appealed to the Land Use Appeals Board. Should a decision of the land use hearing officer be appealed, the record evidence, including the testimony presented at this public hearing, shall be the only evidence that is subject to review by the Land Use Appeals Board. In reaching a final decision on petitions, the Land Use Appeals Board will only consider the decision of the land use hearing officer and the record evidence, including any evidence from this public hearing. If an appeal is filed, the Land Use Appeals Board hearing shall consist of, I'm so sorry, I lost my spot. Oral argument by the party appealing the decision, county staff, and any interveners, each of whom may be represented by legal counsel. The following shall have standing to appeal a decision of the land use hearing officer or to intervene in an appeal. 1, the applicant, or 2, anyone who appeared before the land use hearing officer, presented testimony or other evidence, and is adversely affected by the decision of the land use hearing officer. It is the role of the County Attorney's Office to ensure that no new evidence or testimony is allowed before the Land Use Appeals Board that was not presented to the Land Use Hearing Officer. The County Attorney will recommend that the Land Use Appeals Board disregard evidence or testimony that is outside the record from today's public hearing. Any evidence presented to the Land Use Appeals Board that is outside the record created at today's hearing could jeopardize the legality of the Land Use Appeals Board decision, and the presenter of that evidence could hurt their own cause. The safest course of action, then, is for you to write down any comments you make today and repeat them to the Land Use Appeals Board.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. As I mentioned, all testimony must be under oath, so if you plan to speak today, could you please stand, raise your right hand, and I'll swear you in. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you so much. Please be seated. All right, then with that, Ms. Marshall, we're ready to call the first case.
Today's agenda, we have no vested rights, fee waivers, remands, or reconsideration requests, or site development variance requests, which brings us to Section G, sign variance request. The first item is item G1, variance 240094. The applicant is Global Sign and Awning. The request is a variance to sign requirements. Staff findings will be provided by Sam Ball.
All right, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Sam Ball of Hillsborough County Development Services. The applicant is requesting an increase in allowable building signage for a new car wash facility on a 0.72 acre PD zone property located at 10763 Big Bend Road. Section 730A2A of the Land Development Code limits maximum building sign area for each premises to an aggregate sign area of 1.25 square feet per lineal foot of building frontage facing a public street or parking lot, but in no event more than 200 square feet of aggregate sign area. The proposed sign be placed on a 38-foot, 1-inch wide building front, which would allow up to 47.6 square feet of sign area. The applicant is requesting a 97.83 square foot increase to the allowable area, which would result in a building sign with 145.43 square feet. That concludes my presentation.
I just had a quick question. I'm reviewing the backup and the actual sign graphic that the applicant submitted. And it appeared, and maybe I'm just misreading the graphic, but it looked like it was a freestanding sign. Is that correct?
It's attached to the front of the car wash sign. I believe this sign came in for a permit, and when we reviewed it, we caught this.
So because it's in some form or fashion, it's attached to the building, which triggers
that
the
is
building sign.
correct.
Okay, that was my only question. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Is the applicant here? Please come forward. Give us your name and address. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, Christopher Wicks, Global Sign and Awning, 1827 Industrial Boulevard, Tarpon Springs, Florida. Am I able to present on the screen there?
If you have a presentation, they can help
Yeah.
you.
Oh, you have it on a thumb drive? Put it just like you can on the tape.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, and you can use that when you talk, if you could just bring that microphone over to you
Yes, ma'am.
so they pick you up on the record.
Perfect. So here's a copy of the sign code that we have here. Sam obviously just helped us out by reading it, but it states that each premises, in the case of multi-occupancy buildings, each unit, so each premises and multi-occupancy building, each unit shall be permitted to display building sign or signs, the aggregate sign area of which shall not exceed 1¼ square feet per each linear foot of building frontage facing a public street or a parking lot, but no event no more than 200 square feet of aggregate sign area. For each unit not facing a public street or a parking lot, the aggregate sign area shall not exceed 1¼ square feet for each linear foot of unit frontage for the elevation on which the building sign will be installed, but no event no more than 200 square feet in aggregate sign area. So this is the sign code that we're working off of for this project. Here's our current site, an aerial view. So we have Culver's to the left of us. We have Bubble Down Car Wash here, and then an Asian fast food restaurant to the right of us. Our building is oriented to the roadway, just as I'm showing here with my finger. Then here's a zoomed in version of our site. So if you notice, our north elevation measures 38 feet in width. Our east elevation measures 120 feet in width. So our total linear frontage that is facing a public road and a parking lot equates to 158 feet. If we multiply that by the allowed 1.2 square feet, we're entitled to 197.5 square feet of allowable signage. Our proposed signage totals 145.5 square feet. We can round it to 5 square feet. The hardship that we're faced with here is due to the size of the parcel and the requirements of the Land Development Code, we had to position the building perpendicular to Big Bend Road. This orientation places the exit of the tunnel parallel to Big Bend Road, which coincidentally is the narrowest part of the building. As a result, we have been denied signage that is proportionate to the size of both the building and our parcel. We would like to use the aggregate available square footage to ensure visibility for Bubble Down Car Wash, and it would lead to its continued success. In summary, we would like to use all of our allowable square footage on the north elevation of the building. We are requesting the use of our allowable square footage for elevations facing either a parking lot or a roadway per the Hillsborough County Land Development Code to be applied to the north elevation of the building. Here's a photograph of the proposed signage on the north elevation. We have no signage on the east elevation. Proportional to the building. We didn't want it to be gaudy or oversized. We want it to be tasteful. We want it to be respectful. In conclusion, we first would like to thank you and the members of the board for conveying with us today and giving us the opportunity to present our case. Here are our facts. Total linear frontage, 158 feet, 10 inches. 158 times 1.25 square feet gives us 197 of allowable square feet of signage. Our total proposed signage is 145.42 square feet. Our main goal today is to thoroughly explain our hardship and present the facts of this site and propose signage which explains why we are requesting this variance. It is our common hope that this business and future businesses can be seen and succeed to the full extent of their capability.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Just one quick question to confirm that sign, you heard me ask Mr. Ball about the building sign and it being attached. It is attached to that north frontage?
Yes, ma'am. It is attached to the north side of the building. It's a very unique construction. It's an open air type construction because of the moisture in the car wash. So it is on the north side of the building, but it's a steel framing structure that makes up the exterior shell of the building. But yes, it is in fact a wall sign attached to the building.
Okay. That
Yes,
was my
ma'am.
only question. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
you could please sign in. If you'd like to submit those materials into the record, you're more than welcome. All right. We'll call for anyone who would like to speak in support. Anyone in favor of this application? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition? All right. County staff, Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Just a question, and maybe Mr. Ball could answer this if you can't. It appears, if we're talking about a total aggregate of 200 square feet, I believe, of signage area, and the gentleman's calculation that appears he's under, that's because of the portion that does not face the right-of-way?
So each elevation is separate. So if you have an elevation that's over 160 feet wide, that'll put you over 200 feet.
I see.
But you're actually limited to 200 feet. So you take a giant big box store, that has, like 200 feet of building frontage, you're still only allowed 200 square feet of sign area
Understood.
on that front.
Okay. All right, thank you. I appreciate that clarification. All right, then we'll go back to the applicant if you have anything else you would like to add before we close the case.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. I'd like to add to that is we, based on the formula in the code, we're entitled to 197 square feet. So we're under the allowable maximum of 200 square feet. We're only requesting 147 square feet. So in theory, we could increase the size of this sign. It's to our design taste that we felt it would be too big, unproportional to the building. Therefore, we're only requesting the 147 square feet when in fact we are entitled to the 197 square feet of signage based on the formula in the land development code.
All right, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0094 and go to the next case.
Next item is item G2, variance 240172. The applicant is Mindy Merriman. The request is a variance to sign requirements. Staff findings will be provided by Michelle Montalbano.
Good morning.
Good morning, Michelle Montalbano, Development Services. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow building signs on a multifamily residential apartment complex. Per LDC Section 70300A, building signs are permitted in all zoning districts except for residentially zoned districts. So the applicant is requesting building signs on a residentially zoned multifamily project. Staff findings, the building signs shall be subject to compliance with all other building sign standards in LDC Section 70300A 1 through 3. The applicant is proposing a building sign along the eastern building elevation as shown in the submitted sign design plans. Staff also identified 2 existing building signs on the north and south elevations that read AL, which represents the name of the apartment complex. If you have any questions, that concludes my presentation.
Just a quick question about those signs on the north and the south. Did you find if those were permitted?
I don't believe so, but they just kind of seem like stucco on the wall, but I'm not sure if it was permitted.
Okay. And this is for a multifamily building, you said?
Correct.
All right, that was my only question. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. Excuse me. I'm Cole Posey. I'm representing the applicant, Mindy Merriman, for A&S Signs. And we're at 700 West 9th Street in Ado, Georgia, A&S Signs. I'm here to just discuss the, what we're asking for, and we're asking for the ability to put the signage on the building front. I have the drawing here showing, is this on?
It'll be, if you put it on there, they'll pick it up. There you go, I see it.
So here's the building frontage. As you can see, it's small in comparison to the building frontage. What we're asking for here is just to have the sign on the building frontage, because the code does not allow for signage to be on residential building frontage. So that's really what we're asking for here. And speaking on the AL that's on the other two ends of the building, which I can show a picture of here as well. Here's showing that. You can see here is this is the A and the L here, as well as on the other side of the building there. And what it is it's stucco, and it comes out off the building a little bit, and it's painted. But if need be, we can always go, the building owner can always go back and paint that to match the color, because the code states that if it's not visible from the roadway, then it's not considered signage. So if they need to, they can go back and do that. But our main request is in asking for the building signage to begin with, so that it gives them the ability to advertise the complex. And that's all I have. If you have any questions for me.
I don't think I do, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in with the clerk's office.
All right, thank
Is there
you.
anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? All right, county staff, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, sir, you have the last word if you'd like it, but you don't have to take it. Okay, thank you so much. With that, we'll close variance 25-0172 and go to the next case.
Next item is item G3, variance 25-0209. The applicant is Advertisements. The request is a variance to sign requirements. Staff findings will be provided by Sam Ball.
Morning.
Good morning, Sam Ball of Hillsborough County Development Services. The applicant is requesting a sign variance for a PD zone property located at 3400 East Fletcher Avenue. Section 730A of the Land Development Code allows building signs to be permitted in all zoning districts except residentially zoned districts, because the conditions of approval for this PD restrict the allowable use to a 781-bed student housing project. The property is residentially zoned, and the applicant is requesting a variance to permit a building sign on the subject property. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions.
No questions at this time, but thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is the applicant here? Good morning. Morning.
Thank you so much. Perfect. Thank you so much. Good morning, Advertisements, 13266 Bird Drive, Odessa, Florida. Today, thank you, Sam, for your due diligence. We're here to provide evidence for Park Place Tampa, which is a student housing built by USF. The vicinity map, so we're looking, it is actually right across the street. It faces on the north border of the university. Here is the parcel map, so you can see it is like narrow parcel that faces each Fletcher, and the sign would go on East Fletcher. So we're requesting approval to install one building sign that is 24 square feet that fronts East Fletcher Avenue. So here is the site plan. So you'll see in the top right-hand corner, that would be the sign location, and it fronts East Fletcher. This is what the sign will look like. It is a blade sign that projects off of the elevation. It measures 2 feet 8 inches by 9 feet long, and we'll just simply say Park Place, which is the name of the apartment complex. This is the south elevation. The elevation the sign will be on, and the red box illustrates where the sign will be. This is a closer view of the elevation where the sign will be. It will be located on the 4th story at 46 feet high from grade to the bottom of the cabinet, and then 55 feet to the top of the cabinet. So I just quickly wanted to go through the variance criteria, how this is not, how it's unique and singular. So we believe, based on the site configuration, the access limitations and orientation, and the ineffectiveness of the existing ground sign with the high traffic volumes, and because this is student housing, we believe that visibility is hindered from the existing signage that is there, especially because East Fletcher, it's in the corridor of the university. And further in my presentation, I'll present evidence. It has 46,000 daily drivers, and we just believe that with the blade sign, it will help the visibility from distances, because the existing sign, due to the configuration of the parcel, had to be single-faced in its parallel to Fletcher rather than being perpendicular to Fletcher, because of the LDC code for freestanding signs only allows a certain height versus setback, and with the orientation in the parking lot up front, the only way to get a freestanding sign was to have it singular with the most effective square footage, but you can't see that crossing east or west from Fletcher. So that's really why we believe singularly this would be very beneficial for guests and new students and parents who are coming to the site. So the requirements from the LDC would deprive us. Signage on multifamily or residential buildings is not allowed. However, given the unique use of this and where this is, we believe that a wall sign would would impact public safety for visibility wise. We believe that it would be a hindrance if they would not be able to have the sign, just like any other building other than residential. The variance would substantially interfere, we believe, would not interfere with the rights of others, because we believe it's unique to where this is located and what the use is. I also believe, I drove up and down East Fletcher, and I believe there is at least another apartment complex that has a wall sign, I think maybe in a unique, and because this is student housing, was possibly granted because of that. We believe that it is in harmony with the general intent. I mean, up and down Fletcher, there is the university, but it's also a commercial corridor, and there are buildings that have wall signs, although residential are not allowed to. I think it enhances the visibility for the site, and it's not uncharacteristic. It's also very proportionate to the frontage. I mean, it's I think 300-foot frontage, if not longer, and so we don't believe that it is disproportionate to the building, and it meets the general intent of the LDC and sign code. We do not believe this is, this doesn't result in a legal act. It just is addressing challenges that are inherent to the site and the regulatory framework that we have to work within under the LDC. And we're not trying to attempt to rectify any hardship of our own making. We believe that just because of the unique positioning of the site and the visibility required for those travelers coming to the site. We believe that the variances achieves a fair compromise in addressing the unique site challenges with upholding the intent of the LDC. The proposed wall sign is modest in scale to the site, and it ensures aesthetics of the corridor while fulfilling a practical need for improved visibility and safety. I did want to show, this is the existing ground sign. So you can see it is parallel to East Fletcher, and so it is just not visible from any distance, and that's why the sign is designed to be a blade sign and not a flat sign anyway, so that we can get that distance. That's also why it's that high on the building. And then, as I alluded to earlier, the average daily driver count from Plant Hillsborough in this corridor is 43,000 people a day. This is obviously a busy corridor in Tampa and for the county, but it is also elevated because of the use and because the university is over there. And so we appreciate your support and approval, and I'm here to answer any questions.
No questions at this time. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
If you could please sign in with the clerk's office. All right, we'll ask for anyone that would like to speak in support. Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further. Thank you.
Ma'am, you have the last word if you'd like it, but you don't have to take it. Nothing further. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0209 and go to the next case.
This brings us to section H, variance requests. Item H1, variance 25-0176. The applicant is Jason Kendall. The request is variance to accessory dwelling standards. Staff findings will be provided by Logan McCaig.
Good morning.
Good morning. Logan McCaig, Hillsborough County Development Services, variance 25-0176. The applicant is requesting a variance to the maximum accessory dwelling unit living spaces for the purpose of constructing the accessory dwelling unit on the property. Per LEC 61102C, living spaces for accessory dwellings shall be limited to a maximum of 900 square feet. The applicant is requesting 951 square feet, so a resulting variance of 51 square feet. Per LDC section 61102C, variance to the 900 square foot maximum living space within an accessory dwelling may be requested provided the residential lot has at least 14,520 square feet in size, and the living space proposed by the accessory dwelling unit does not exceed 1,200 square feet or 25% the living space in the principal dwelling on the lot, whichever is less. Based on the site plan submitted November 18, 2024, details a proposed home containing 4,005 square feet of living space. The proposed 951 square foot accessory dwelling unit living space is approximately 24%, of the proposed primary dwelling living space. Therefore, a variance to increase the accessory dwelling space beyond 900 square feet may be requested.
I just had a quick question. The applicant's variance responses, number 3, they say that the accessory dwelling unit will be connected to the primary structure by a breezeway. So is it still then considered an accessory dwelling unit, or is it all principal structure at that point?
It is still considered an accessory dwelling unit, whether attached to the primary dwelling, attached by a breezeway, or detached. The separation comes down to the internal living standards. Does it have a kitchen, bedroom, bathroom, that sort of item?
I see. Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Jason Kendall, 1316 Corner Oaks Drive, Brandon, Florida. As stated, we're requesting a 51 square foot variance to accessory dwelling standards. It's a minimal request, but the owner is designing his dream house, and this is what he needs to make it happen. The size of the property is 1.2 acres, so we don't feel the house is too large for the property. The house has been designed, as stated, to be attached to the normal house, separated by a breezeway, but it'll be under the same roof. And so when the neighbors are looking at the house, they'll see a wall, so it's not going to look like a separate accessory dwelling structure that's very large. It's going to all look like it's the same house. And that was designed to limit the impact of any surrounding people.
All right. Have you heard from any of the neighbors as a part of the noticing?
We have not.
All right. That was my only question. Thank you so much.
Okay.
If you could please sign in.
Sure, thank you.
All right. Is there anyone that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition to the request? All right. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Sir, anything from you before we close? Thank you. I appreciate it. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0176 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H2, variance 250188. The applicant is Henry and Lindy Lloyd. The request is a variance to lot development standards. Staff findings will be provided by Logan McCaig.
Good morning, Logan McCaig, Hillsborough County Development Services. The applicant is requesting a variance to the minimum setback standards for accessory structures in front of the primary structure. Per LDC 611-04C1, the accessory structure shall not be erected in any required front yards. Accessory structure shall be permitted in front yards at twice the depth of the required front yard or 50 feet, whichever is less. The applicant is requesting a variance of 30.5 feet, resulting in a 19.5-foot setback of the 50-foot setback for the accessory structure. Despite visual appearance, the accessory structure is detached from the primary dwelling unit, requiring it to comply with Section 611-04C1.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Lindy Lloyd, 390 Henderson Avenue, Seffner.
Okay. Go ahead with the reason for your request.
I brought a photo to add to the record.
Yeah, you can
Is that
show
okay?
it. Sure. You turn it over. There you go. Okay.
I'm just asking for a setback requirement. You can see there's an accessory dwelling right next to the property, on the same property, that has a carport. And at the time of building that, it was 25 feet. And so we're a little bit farther out than the setback requirement required. So we're just asking for that additional footage for the carport.
Okay. Have you heard from your neighbors about your request? Anybody comment
Yeah.
when you sent out the notices?
Well, we know most of our neighbors. They all asked me, what is that sign in yard for? But they were all fine with it.
Okay. All right, that was my only question. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in and you can submit that document into the record if you'd like.
Okay,
with the
thank you.
clerk. Thank you. All right, anyone that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one, anyone in opposition? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
All right, ma'am, you have the last word if you'd like it. Okay, thank you. Then with that, we'll close variance 25-0188 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H3, variance 250210. The applicant is Pasquale and Allison Cafaro. The request is variance to lot development standards, and I'll present the staff findings.
Okay.
The applicant's requesting a variance of 1 foot 11 inches to the required 10-foot side yard setback of the RSC2 zoning district to allow a 8-foot 1-inch side yard setback for a proposed addition to the existing single-family home on the property. Happy to answer any questions.
No questions. Thank you so much. Is the applicant here? Good morning.
Hi, Allison Cavaro, 905 Hillary Circle, Lutz. And
Will you just tell us a little bit about your request?
okay, so we had planned an addition to the home, and because our house is offset already, so we have a half-acre rectangle, and our house is already offset because we have on the east side, on the west side, we have a large septic tank mound, so nothing can be built on that side, so we knew it had to go on the right. So we have a less than 400 square foot addition to kind of move our office and storage and living space, give us a little bit more room inside of our house. So we've been planning this for months and months and months, and thinking we were following the setback guidelines. We allowed 8 foot, thinking we only had to allow 7.5 foot, but we didn't find out until afterwards what happened here. So here we are, and so we will need less than 2 feet just for the length of the addition, which is around 24 feet.
Okay.
But we did design, the front elevation to, if I can just add this here.
Yeah, you could show it. I see it.
And so when you look at the house, it's going to just look like a continuation of the house. So aesthetically, it looks like a room addition. We've had no issue with the neighbors. They were all very concerned when they saw the sign. We did get a letter from the neighbor to our east on the side of the addition. We included that in the application, and he has no issue with it.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you could please sign in, you can submit that document into the record. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition? All right, Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Ma'am, you have the last word if you'd like it. Okay, thank you. Then we'll close variance 25-0210 and go to the next case.
Next item is item H4, variance 240216. The applicant is Brian and Betty Sweat. The request is a variance to subdivision access requirements. And I'll present the staff findings.
Okay.
LDC section 60201B4 allows for a flag lot to be created to serve a single parcel, provided the subdivision is located within the rural area and an agricultural district. The applicant is requesting a variance to allow the creation of a new flag lot within a non-agricultural zoning district within the rural area to allow for subdivision of the property into 2 lots. Happy to answer any questions.
No questions. Thank you so much. It's the applicant here. Good morning.
Good morning. Bryce Pinson with Half Associates here representing the applicant, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Tampa, Florida. As she stated, it's a variance to allow for a flag lot. I have a presentation.
Okay. There we go.
It's located on the west side of Fort King Highway in Thonotosassa. It's about 2.16 acres. The zoning is RSC 6 with a mobile home overlay. The future land use is residential 6, and it is within the rural service area. The request is to allow flag lot within a residential non-agricultural zoning district, specifically Land Development Code 60201B4. What's shown here is the full parcel within orange and yellow. Following, hopefully, the approval of the variance request, the goal is to split this into 2 parcels. So the northern portion would need to be accessed via a flag lot. How the alleged hardships are unique to the subject property. The surrounding area is generally agricultural and rural in nature. To the north and to the east of the subject property is zoned ASC 1, which does allow for flag lots. The parcel is also uniquely shaped to have a flag lot access to the north if it were to be split. For the LDC and comp plan consistency, with this amount of acreage, the proposed lot split would create parcels that exceed the minimum lot requirements under the RSC 6 zoning district. Each would also meet the half-acre minimum requirement for use of a septic tank. And the site meets every other requirement for a flag lot, such as being within the rural service area, meeting the minimum lot size requirements. The access is a minimum of 20 feet in width and less than 1,000 feet in length. No other properties are proposed to use the flag lot access. There's no access easement issues. The proposed lot size is already permitted and compatible with the surrounding area. This graphic shows some of the immediate adjacent properties and their acreage. The subject site is in an area classified Res 6 future land use and RSC 6 zoning, both of which allow for these smaller lot sizes than what's existing. However, without having a way to access the northern portion, the parcel would not be able to be accessed without this flag lot in its current form. The request is consistent in character with the surrounding area and the comp plan. The subject site meets all of the flag lot criteria aside from being zoned with an agricultural district. The site is adjacent to an agricultural zone district along the north and the east, so it's compatible with the rural nature of the area. And allowing this requested variance will permit the owner to subdivide the parcel and have access to the northern portion. And that's all I have.
Just a quick question about
Yes.
that intervening half-acre parcel that's not included. If you
Yes.
heard from that property owner through your notice,
We haven't heard from them. We did notice, but we haven't heard from them.
and you haven't heard from anybody else
No.
as well? All right, thank you so much, I appreciate it. All right, is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? All right, seeing no one, anyone in opposition? All right, Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Ms. Pinson, anything before we close? Okay. Then we'll close variance 25-0216 and go to the next case.
This brings us to section I, special uses. Item I3, there's a numbering issue with the agenda. Item I3, special use 250137. The applicant is Carolwood Kikis LLC. The request is a special use 2 COPRX alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers. James Baker will provide staff findings after presentation by the applicant.
Okay, and as I said, special uses, the applicant goes first. So is the applicant here? Good morning.
Good morning. James Johnston with Schutz & Bowen, 300 South Orange Avenue in Orlando, on behalf of the applicant. And as mentioned, the request is a special use for a 2 COPRX alcohol beverage permit for sale and consumption of beer and wine on premises only in connection with the Kiki's Breakfast Cafe restaurant. This restaurant's in a strip retail center at the corner of Northdale Mabry Highway and Fletcher Avenue. We are requiring a separation waiver from community uses. There's a congregation, Kol Ami Synagogue, 229 feet to the north. So we do need a separation reduction from that, although we do meet the separation from residentially zoned property. And as shown on this picture, the Kiki's is a family restaurant that serves breakfast, lunch, and brunch with limited hours of 7 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And the, again, wet zoning permit is to serve beer and wine for on-premises consumption only. And just, I don't know if you can see here, the Kiki's in this picture is here at the end of the strip mall center. And you can see, the strip mall is oriented to the south towards Fletcher Avenue. And the distance separation request, the code requires 500 feet. This separation is 229 feet from Congregation Kol Ami to the north. However, we note the Kiki's and the strip retail center is all oriented to the south and Fletcher Avenue. The Congregation Kol Ami is behind the strip retail center and fronts on Moran Road, and there's no direct access from the restaurant to Moran Road. And the actual travel distance from the Kiki's to the synagogue is approximately 2,370 feet if you go out via Dale Mabry Highway to the north and then onto Moran Road. I think it's also worth noting there's an existing wet zoning permit for the prior restaurant in this location, but however, because this is a larger restaurant, the code requires us to get an additional permit or a new permit and rescind the old permit. And so again, it's the same permit that was previously approved, which also required a separation reduction. So again, this is just a picture showing the strip mall center and the Synagogue is here, but again, there's no direct access from the Kiki's there. Instead, you would have to go out, up Dale Mabry, and then here, and then down. So in conclusion, as indicated in the staff report, we think this meets the requirements for the separation waiver, and we would request that you grant it and are here to answer any questions.
Just a question to ask if you've heard from the synagogue.
No, we have not.
Okay. Or anyone else, as a matter of fact.
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate it.
you.
If you could please sign in. All right. We'll go to Development Services. Good morning.
Good morning. James Baker, Development Services. Pursuant to Land Development Code Section 6.11.11, the applicant is requesting a distance separation waiver for a 2 COP RX alcohol beverage permit for the sale and consumption of beer and wine on the permitted premises only in connection with a restaurant. The wet zoning is sought for an existing restaurant, Kiki's Breakfast Cafe, within a strip center located at 13121 North Dale Mabry Highway. The property is zoned planned development, which allows the host use and consideration of the proposed wet zoning. You have further questions?
Nothing further. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. All right. Is there anyone in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition? Ms. Marshall, anything further?
Nothing further.
All right. We'll go back to the applicant. Nothing? Okay. Thank you so much. Then with that, we'll close special use AB 25-0137 and go to the last case.
Last item is item I4, special use 250218. The applicant is Amando Camilo. The request is a special use 4 COP alcoholic beverage permit with separation waivers. Chris Granlenard will provide staff findings after presentation by the applicant.
All right. I see our applicant is online. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Liberty. I'm at 200 Kentucky 42240. And my client is at the client's name is 809 Lounge Row. Address is 3710. He's requesting a 4 CO on and off permitted operation waivers. The inside 7651. Outside contains 11 feet. Total is 8791. The first is requested on the wet zone survey on January the 10th. The City Life Church property line is approximately 135 feet from the wet zone area. The church is located 365 feet straight line distance from the proposed wet zone area and over 1,500 feet when utilizing the normal route of travel. West Waters Avenue, a major arterial roadway with 75 buffers and the proposed the church property. The second waiver, there's 13 existing alcohol beverage classification permits. This established commercial area is located in major intersection of West Waters Avenue and North Dale Mabry. My client does have a 4 COPR, which that was approved back in July, I believe it was. If so, we're requesting to go ahead and to rescind the 24-0894. You have any questions?
Yeah, just a quick question. I would just want to confirm, this is an existing restaurant currently that has a 4 COP RX, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so they're asking to remove that restaurant restriction. Are they asking also to expand the square footage based on the existing approval?
No, ma'am. Everything stays the same.
Okay, all right, thank you. That was my only question. I appreciate it. Development Services. Good morning.
Good morning. Chris Gralenar, Development Services. The applicant is requesting a distance separation waivers to a community use, City Life Church. and more than 3 similar approved alcoholic beverage uses within 1,000 feet. In order to permit a 4-cop alcoholic beverage permit for beer, wine, and liquor for sale and consumption on and off the premises. A prior beverage permit, 24-0894, was approved in July of 2024 for a 4-cop RX. The applicant requests that that alcoholic beverage permit from last year be rescinded if the current application is approved. The total wet zone area requested is about 8,791 square feet, 7,651 square feet inside, and 1,140 square feet outside. The proposed wet zone area is located at 3710 West Waters Avenue in Tampa. The wet zone survey indicates that the City Life Church's property is approximately 135 feet from the proposed wet zone area. The church is located 350 feet straight line distance from the proposed wet zone area and over 1,500 feet when utilizing the normal route of travel. West Waters Avenue, a major arterial road, it has a width of 75 feet and buffers the proposed wet zone area from the church property. There are 13 existing approved similar alcoholic beverage classification permits within the 1,000 feet. This is an established commercial area and is located at a major intersection of West Waters Avenue and North Del Mabry. The establishment currently has a 4-cop, as mentioned. The establishment is called the 809 Lounge Restaurant and Grill, and has existed at the location since at least 2017. The applicant intends to expand the use to a restaurant selling beer, wine, and liquor for a sale and consumption on and off the permitted premises. The addition of the proposed 4-cop alcoholic beverage permit will not pose any additional impacts to the church use or the surrounding commercial area. The subject property is located in Tampa. At a major intersection, the property fronts on West Waters Avenue, a major county arterial of approximately 75 feet in width. There are 6 lanes and a median on West Waters Avenue that separates the proposed wet zoning from the church, and a large parking lot. The surrounding area is occupied by commercial activity along the major roadways. In addition, there are no residentially zoned properties within 250 feet of the establishment. For the reasons mentioned, staff finds the proposed alcoholic beverage permit to be approvable. Thank you.
Just have a quick question. It's, I think, a minor issue. In the summary portion of your staff report, it says that the wet zoning is sought for the expansion of an existing supermarket to a full-service restaurant, and it looks like it's a restaurant. Is that correct? It's not a supermarket.
I think it's both. I think it's also a supermarket.
Is that right? Okay.
Might have to ask the applicant. Yeah.
All right, that was my only question.
I believe it is both, that they have both.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is there anyone that would like to speak in the room or online that would like to speak in support? Anyone in favor? Seeing no one. Anyone in opposition? No one. Ms. Marshall, anything else?
Nothing further.
Thank you. And then Ms. Liberty, just to my question about, is it also have a supermarket component to it?
Yes, ma'am, a small area.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Did you have anything you wanted to add before we close?
Yes, I did not hear back from the church or anybody at all.
All right, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Then with that, we'll close special use AB 25-0218 and adjourn the hearing. Thank you all for your time and testimony.